Welcome. Welcome to this edition of Workflow Live episode 8.
Oh, look, we both got the number right, but we did it different.
I know. But it's really not 8 because we skipped a couple weeks, but we're going to call it 8, even though I think it's really like episode 5. However, Agency Elephant Workflow Call, what we're going to be going over today is a couple pieces we haven't yet, but to give you a basis or a foundation of your Agency Elephant workflow, it is a one-stop shop. This is your hub. This is your pulse. This is managing your agency from both a sales and from a service workflow. The sales pipeline comes with your Agency Elephant account. It is all automated. You can shut those automations off so you can slow roll into this. We typically recommend on your service workflow when you build this out that there are no automations attached to it initially. This is a great way to track what is being worked on in your office. As things are getting finished, you can drag them to the unassigned to get them out of there. If you haven't watched any of our previous workflow videos, I really recommend you jump over to our Agency Elephant YouTube channel. And if you're not, if you're not subscribed to this Agency Elephant YouTube channel, I would highly recommend you get subscribed. We've got a whole Workflow Wednesday section here. I believe we're now on episode 6, not 8. So there's that. So welcome to Workflow Wednesday episode 6.
I thought it was 8.
6.
Oh. Maybe we just didn't record. Well, we probably just didn't record a couple.
No, we skipped them because of holidays and other things. I think we skipped 2.
I feel like we talk about the same thing every week.
We do, and it's important because not everybody sees the same thing. So it's important. Our Workflow Wednesday calls, if you haven't gone through and watched any of those, go watch them. We're going to show you how to build out workflows in your agency, why we build workflows, how to tie automation to workflows. I don't want to get into a ton of that right now. What I want to talk about on your workflow is the importance of final statuses. Okay. We have 3 stationary final statuses in your account. These are these buckets down here. Okay. We don't typically train on this a whole lot, but it is a very easy process to set up. And the reason why that I want to train us to start using this is it's another area of tracking for your agency. And these final statuses are going to be important in the future in your Agency Elephant account. So it is going to be important to start understanding these. Okay. Now, your final statuses all come in your account as a generic quoted, sold, or not sold. We recommend you keep these for the time being because we don't want to change anything. Let's just use what's there. The importance of these final statuses is they track your premium and they track the leads that are in these sections. Just like up here, however, these final statuses stick even when you're moving people across. So for example, the importance of this is if you have a customer that you've sold and they're sitting over in the sales status, you want to track the premium. You want to track the close date, right? You want to track all of this. But if that person is late on a payment, they will move out into the service workflow and you will lose the reporting or tracking of that deal if you're going back and pulling reports from your system. Okay. So that is something to be aware of. The importance of that final status is it sticks. Even if this person goes to another workflow in the system, the final status they ended up in, whether it was sold, quoted, or not sold, will stick. A customer will always stick this final status for tracking. Okay. That is important, especially going forward in your system when we unveil a few things. Okay. To assign final statuses to your account, it is very simple. All you are going to do is click the sales column over here and make sure this drop down shows sold. Make sure the proposal section shows quoted. Make sure that your no sale shows not sold. Those are the 3 final stages that are really important. These unqualified and qualified statuses are also important, even though you don't see them in those boxes. Here is why, okay? Let me explain this. A lead is somebody who has come into your agency that you haven't had a conversation with. You haven't qualified them. A prospect is somebody you have talked to that is qualified because you've had a conversation with them and you've talked to them. Having these statuses stick across the account is important because it allows you to do tracking. It allows those final statuses to stick when you're looking at the advanced searches, when you're looking at the search options, or when you're viewing that account, so that those pipeline numbers don't change. You want those to stick, regardless of if that customer eventually goes into a missing documents, regardless of if that customer goes into billing issues. They will always have that final status in their account. It sticks to that account, okay? That is the importance of final statuses. Yes, it helps with tracking. Yes, it helps with all of that, but the final status is going to stick to that account. Does that make sense? Do we have any questions about that? I'm going to jump over to that live and take a look at some of those questions over there. Those final statuses to stick. Is there any automation attached to the final status? No, the final status doesn't trigger automation. It is for tracking and reporting purposes. And the reason why we want those to stick is for premium. It's for making sure that the people that were in that column stick with a certain date, because as you're looking down in a lead's profile, like let me go back over to Matthew's profile real quick. There's a date that sticks to that account, okay? Like you see the deal status here, billing issues, but there's dates that stick here, which are really important for your account, okay? Really important that these date fields stick for the final statuses only. It's not going to change as you're using some of these statuses in your workflow that are not the final status. So for example, over here, none of these have a selected type, so it's not going to stick on the date field, but these ones are. And it's important to start using those. It's not going to make or break your agency by any way, shape, or form, but it is definitely going to help your system be more effective for you if you're using these final statuses going forward. It's a great way to track. It's a great way to do reporting. It's a great way to make sure that you're sticking the important things that are happening, because customers are going to recycle in and out of these all the time, and I don't care. But I care about qualified, unqualified, quoted, sold, and not sold. Those are my final important statuses that I want stuck to an account. Yeah. It doesn't stick.
You're not going to use these really on a service workflow.
And it's not going to stick the pipeline. It only sticks this section.
And so like those boxes will still show up at the bottom of your pipeline of your service workflow. And all we do when we finish something, maybe there's missing documents, or maybe there's a billing issue. Matt fixes the billing issue, drags it down to unassigned, and gets it off our radar. So my team and hopefully you and your team are only kind of keeping an eye on the things that are important right now, whether it's a sales or service issue.
Yep, workflows are a very good way to make sure, like we talk about processes in an agency, and we talk about consistency in an agency, and we talk about a lot of things. This should be an ironclad process in your agency, that if there is somebody that you are moving through the sales process, you have a visual hub that can send out a ton of automations for you, but doesn't have to. And also, like, for example, I have 4 people written down on my whiteboard that are people that I'm working on getting a quote to. Those are people that are in my prospect pipeline too, but it is important that when that whiteboard accidentally gets smudged, that I don't lose that info. Having that in front of me on my agency elephant account, managing it, that is the purpose of it. Everybody tracks their leads in some manner. Everybody tracks their quoted stuff in some manner. It's just usually not consistent, effective, or a solid process that really can be duplicated across the board.
And not just consistent, like from one team member to the other, but there's times where before I was using the workflows that I knew I knocked it out of the park with that person, but I didn't knock it out of the park with the guy the next day because my head wasn't in the game, something was going on. And so, like, for example, today I just got back. That's why we started this late today. I just got back from picking my sick kid up at school. I was at my office today, but being able to, now I'm here at my house, but I can still pop right into my pipeline. I can see what's going on in my agency. I know what Ariel's working on. I know what Sue's working on. I know I can still see and get an idea of what the flow of the day is like. Without that, there's really no, there's really no rhyme or reason or process. It would be me texting Ariel every 30 minutes. Hey, what's going on? How's the day? Need any, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a nice temperature gauge, whether you're in the office or not. And it's always consistent. And that's important.
And we were talking to somebody that we're working on getting their agency elephant set up on a bigger level with a bigger company. And we were talking about the idea of, I feel like a lot of people are constantly running to be putting out fires. Like, for example, I just got a phone call from the district that's managing my district, because we don't have a district manager anymore. Got a call from a random farmer's district saying, hey, Matt, just want to let you know your farmer's dashboard is going to lock you out tomorrow. And I said, why is that? I said, well, it looks like you didn't complete your fraud training. I said, man, thanks for giving me a call and letting me know. I appreciate it, because you're not even my district. Would have been really nice to know this a while ago. So I completed the training this morning. But the point I'm trying to make is
we'll never lock you out of your dashboard. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. What I want to say is people's workflows and systems usually and typically, I honestly want to say in the high 90%, is functioning going from fire to fire to fire to fire to fire. However, when you use an effective workflow, you are in front of that, trying to make sure the fire doesn't happen. I hate feeling like I am behind the gun on getting quotes or proposals or EOIs or things out, because it's not in front of me all day long looking at it, and I feel behind the gun and I feel like there's fires I got to put out with those. Having a workflow, make sure you don't run your agency like a chicken with its head cut off. You can't run your agency like, I mean, you could, it's just going to be ran horribly, and you're not going to feel good about it, and you're not going to have good days. But the days that I'm on top of it are the days when I know that things are working exactly the way that they should. That's when I know I'm doing a good job. When all of my workflows are right, when, all my ducks are in a row, I can see everything. When all of our new users are coming into Agency Elephant and I can see where they're at in our onboarding process, and I can see they're getting their onboarding stuff, I can say, okay, we're doing a good job. Our staff, I can see his check-in notes with all of these customers. I can see this and I say, okay, we are doing a good job. Knowing and seeing that is important than just knowing it's happening. Somebody's doing it in the background, but seeing it there, that is what makes sure you don't feel like you're running around like an insane person trying to herd a bunch of freaking cattle.
Cats. It's herding cats.
Well, it's hot as molasses. It's,
cattle are actually pretty easy to herd. It's the cats that'll get you.
If there is somebody that says like, have you ever listened to those YouTubes of people that say horrible, like wrong sayings, like, yeah, tougher than a woodpecker's lips? You're like, wait, what?
That's you to a T. That's you to a T.
Wait, what?
Come again?
I'm sorry. Say that again. Hotter than molasses?
Yeah, it's not a thing.
No. All right. No, there's no fraud training for AE, David. Relax. It was for, I was loving that. They're like, yeah, you're going to get locked out tomorrow. And I was like, are you serious?
Cool,
I was
cool.
like, it's not even assigned to me as required in my training. I had to go search for it like an animal.
I gotta go look as soon as we hang up because I
It's
don't have any alerts either.
it's actually due on the 25th. And I was like, it's due tomorrow. He says, well, it's actually due the 25th. I said, so I'm not getting locked out tomorrow. He says, well, technically, no. I just want to make sure you get it done. I said, thanks, bud.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, bud. Workflow Wednesdays. Make sure you build out your workflows in your account. Those are in, if you go to our YouTube videos here, start with the first one. It's a really slow build. Second and third get a little faster as we go into adding automations. But to add a workflow, it's really simple in your account, okay? You're just going to add a pipeline. You're going to name the pipeline. That pipeline is going to create a ton of temporary statuses for you. And then you're just going to come in and make sure you edit the name of those statuses. And you're going to make sure that none of these final statuses are checked on those. And then you can always change the name of your pipeline because ours come as default in your account. Just change the name of your pipeline to whatever you want it to be named.
So a few days ago, I got a message on Facebook Messenger in the evening time, and I don't know if the person's on the call or not listening, but a primarily commercial-based agency, and just asked, what are some of the things that the workflow or the pipeline from a service standpoint can fix in a commercial agency? And I mean, the answer to that, and this is what I told him, like, Agency Elephant's not going to do systematic data entry into a different system for you. Like, it's not going to do the job for you, but having whatever statuses you want across the screen and being able to see where everything is at a quick glance, that there alone is powerful. And then being able to go, oh, okay, every time we move from this status to this status, we always say this. Let's build that in automatically now. Let's have it just when we drag and drop. Now that message goes out, whether it's a text, ringless voicemail, or email. And so if you haven't built a service workflow for just the stuff that we have to do to maintain our books of business, build it and grow into it. And you'll know, hey, we say the same thing every single time. And right now we're doing it manually, so it's not consistent. Let's have that be a consistent outbound message now. Okay. Yeah. Like grow. And that's what we've done. We've grown into our service pipeline. And if Ariel was here in the office, she'd tell you, like, this has been a big stepping stone for our agency, just being able to see that stuff in real time and handle it when it's convenient for us. Like Matt's bill being $5 high this month, that's not an emergency. The referral from the lender that we try to get back to that lender within an hour, that's the hot item right now. That doesn't mean Ariel can't go in and say, hey, Matt, saw you called in and talked to Pam. I'm busy until 2:30. I'll reach out at 2:30 and see what's going on. Yep. She's setting those expectations. She's putting it off her plate, and we're focusing on growth, not focusing on, like Matt said, putting out fires and constantly feeling like you're juggling just crap. How many of you come into the day? I know I do, and sometimes still do, come into the day with a predetermined game plan in your head, and by 9 o'clock the train's off the rails.
If you get to 9 o'clock,
if you even get to 9 o'clock,
you even get there. One of the things that I look at or think about from a commercial standpoint that I run into as being a hang up. I don't write a ton of commercial, but these always are a hang up for me. And I can imagine if you've got a big book of commercial, it is important for you as well. Audits. If you have a commercial book of business, every commercial account gets audited every year for workers' comp. And in California, their business liability policies get audited as well. And I would love to see all of the accounts that are in the audit that haven't completed it, so that I can follow up with them manually and check in on them, make sure they're getting their 941s, make sure they're getting their quarterlies out, make sure they're sending stuff to the audit, or making sure the freaking dumb ass audit people call them back. Like, the problem is those audits never go smooth. Never. You're dealing with business owners that are business owners like us that try to get their day going in one way, but by maybe even before 8 a.m., it goes off the freaking rails. They're not getting audit stuff. I would love to see all my audits pending, all my audits completed, all my, like, I would love to see that information so that when there is an audit issue and they have a bill due because they didn't satisfy the audit, I can say, Mr. Business Owner, I have done the following tasks to get you to complete this. If you want to reopen this audit, we can do that, but they will know it is not because my agency or the audit team dropped the ball.
Right.
And that is what I want to make important in my agency. If I was doing a ton of commercial, I would have a freaking pending audit and completed audit, status in there, because when the audit's completed, I want to make sure that I chat with them. How did it go? Like, was it smooth? What were your numbers this year? So I can give you an expectation of if rates are going to go up. If I know their payroll went up 60 grand this year, I can let them know, hey, your workers' comp's probably going to go up. You're probably going to have a bill from unpaid workers' comp from the year before. Give them an expectation. I want to do that because that is how you keep commercial on the book.
Yep. Any questions on workflows before we stop the recording, still keep the live going, and talk about tomorrow a little bit?
Ooh, let me do that. Let me hit stop recording, guys. We appreciate you joining our Workflow Wednesday, episode 6. We're going to shut off the recording. It's
8.
not 8. Also, let me stop the recording before I go into this.